Hello all, this is Dave and welcome back to another video today on the channel. Today we've got another Football Manager 2017 experiment, and today we're going to be testing out Robbie Fowler as Liverpool manager. Before we get going though, obviously there's a couple of things still going on the channel as well, so if you do enjoy Football Manager Let's Plays, go and check out my 1816 Munich save. And if you're new to the channel and you enjoyed today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button and smash like on the video. If you do click dislike, do always drop a comment and let me know why, because that is how I'm always going to improve. Now, today we're going to be checking out Robbie Fowler. And as you can see, he's taken over from Jurgen Klopp as Liverpool boss. I always tend to give him a 4-year contract, so to the end of the 2019-2020 season. And he's on 58 grand a week. I just leave the wages blank, so obviously the club give him that wage. And I suppose it's a fairly decent wage for someone who's manager of Liverpool. He has managed before in Wang Thong United. He was a player manager there. We'll have a quick look at his history in a second. But his preferred formation is 4-4-2. Obviously still fairly young for a manager at 41. So this could be quite a long career at Liverpool if he's successful. Man management of 13, motivation of 12. The rest of his main managerial stats, judging player ability and potential, are 10 and 9 respectively. 10 for tactical knowledge. He's also got 12 determination, 11 working with youngsters. He's got great knowledge of England, Australia, Thailand, and a little bit of knowledge of Wales as well. He has a man-to-man marking system, attacking playing mentality, tactical coaching style. Surprised that attacking stat isn't up slightly, but who knows. So if we go on his career stats, obviously spent a lot of his career at Liverpool, having some very prolific goal scoring seasons early on. Didn't really from the late 90s have a solid season where he scored many goals. His first season at Leeds wasn't too bad, but he struggled when he moved to Blackburn. Had a little stint in the Championship with Cardiff as well. Didn't do too bad in Australia, and then he went to Thailand for Wang Thong United, where he had a stint as manager as well. We're going to be having a look at Liverpool though. Obviously, we're going to see who Robbie Fowler brings in and so on. Media predicted to finish 5th, so if he gets top 4, or that will be quality for them. He's currently an icon at the club, as you can see there. Steven Gerrard is a legend, along with Bill Shankly, Dalglish and Paisley. But big Robbie Fowler is an icon there with so many other great players. So we're going to have a look to see how they're going to get on. Is Michael Owen no longer on there? I was seeing things. I thought Owen was on there, but I suppose not now. We kind of play for United and stuff. But yeah, let's skip forward to the end of the first season, see how Robbie Fowler does. It's a big club with big expectations, Liverpool, and fantastic history as well. But can he bring the good times back to Anfield? So now we are here, end of the first season, and it's time to see if Robbie Fowler has survived 1 year in English football, and he certainly has as a manager. Stats look fairly the same. 1 or 2 may well have gone up, still on that same contract. And they finished 7th in the Premier League in the end, finishing outside of European football. So that's a surprise that he's kept his job, despite Firmino finishing 2nd on the top goal scorers. Who did he bring in this season? So he spent 44.5 million, bringing in Herving Lozano, Jairo Riedewald, the defender, Ludovic Blas, and Emre Moore from Dortmund. A few players going out on loan, such as Shea Yojo. And let's move on. That is surprising that he's kept his job, especially, media predicted 5th. West Ham beat them to the last European spot by 1 point. They runners-up of the EFL Cup, lost out to Hull, and they were knocked out in the semi-finals. So they all the way to Wembley in the FA Cup, were knocked out by Spurs, who lost in the final to Manchester United. Arsenal boss the league, losing just 1 game. Almost another invincible season for Arsene Wenger and co there. Having a quick look at the schedule though for Liverpool. Having a quick look at how they got on. In the league, they started off fairly brightly, losing just 1 game in the first 6 or 7 matches, and that was to the eventual title winners Arsenal. Their only bad run of form really was maybe towards the end of January, but towards the end of the season, they definitely could have got top 4, but a dreadful run. Lost out to United, but games they probably should have won. Borough, Bournemouth, Sunderland, West Ham, and beat West Brom, but probably could have easily got a win against Hull, and that definitely cost them a spot in Europe there. that Robbie Fowler won't be too happy with overall. Tactics-wise this season, they were playing with a 4-4-2, playing Milner there on the left-hand side, Sturridge and Origi starting that last game, playing Riedewald as a left-back, so it'll be interesting to see if he actually played there for the majority of the season, if we have a quick look at him. He's a very solid centre-half, really, there. I'm sure there is a way that you can see how many games he's played. So he's played the majority at centre-back, to be fair, a couple at left-back as well. But Liverpool overall, not the best of seasons for Robbie Fowler on his debut season. I'm quite surprised that he kept his job, if I'm honest. The most appearances this season for them was Firmino. He was also top goal scorer. Origi just behind him with 18. Most assists was James Milner. Best average rating was Nathaniel Klein. So a lot to build on. He's got his job still on that same contract, so he's got another couple of years to prove himself as a Liverpool boss. Let's skip forward another year and see how he gets on. So we're now at the end of the 17-18 season. And it's time for us to have a quick look at Robbie Fowler again in charge. He's still in charge of Liverpool. Stats rising slightly as well as per usual. Still, again, on that contract up until 2020. And no negatives, which must mean he's still doing an okay job there. This season finishing in the top 4. Very nice indeed for them. Finishing in the top 4 by 1 point and just staying level on points with Manchester United. So they beat the teams like Man City and Arsenal. Stoke also grabbed the European spot. But Liverpool ended up winning the FA Cup and knocked out in the 4th round of the EFL Cup by the eventual winners Arsenal. So very good that they've gone and won the FA Cup indeed. Top 4 finish as well. So quite a successful season for Robbie Fowler, especially as his side were predicted to finish around 6th place. Transfer history of this season, spending over £100 million, bringing in some big players by the looks of it, spending spending 46.5 million, possibly rising to 62 million on Julian Draxler, Marcel Sabitzer from Red Bull Leipzig, Wesley Hurt from Lazio, Jetro Willems from PSV. So they've got a couple of players in from Holland with Rick Karsdorp as well. And 2 players in from Ludogorets, Jordan Tonev and Veselin Adskov. They brought in actually 114 million as well. Sold off Coutinho to Barcelona. Emre Can went to Bayern as well. Dejan Lovren went to Barca. Kevin Stewart for quite a good fee to Burnley. John Flanagan to West Brom. Andre Wisdom to Swansea. Adam Bogdan, I forgot he's still there actually. He went to Benfica. Ragnar Klavan went to Malaga. A couple of lads went to the MLS as well there, and quite a few loans out as per usual, but some big money spent, and we'll have a look at those players shortly. But it looks like it was a very successful season for Robbie Fowler again. Premier League wise, started up strongly, no wins in the first 5. Again, the first loss of the season was to Arsenal, but this season a lot more consistent, hence a really good finish in the league. If they were that consistent last season, they definitely would have got top 4 as well. FA Cup, their run to the final, they went to West Midlands twice. They beat Blues at St Andrews 3-0. It was made a lot easier after the goalkeeper Thomas Kuszczak got sent off at Birmingham. They beat Wolves at the Molineux 2-1. Firmino and Sacco scoring there. They did draw at the Liberty against Swansea, but came back and smashed them at Anfield 5-0. Hat-trick for Origi there. Beat Norwich 4-1 at Anfield, went to Wembley and beat Spurs, got their revenge this time with 10 men as well for the majority of the game, and went to Wembley again and beat Chelsea 2-1 after being 1-0 down after the first minute. EFL Cup got smashed at Anfield though by Arsenal 4-1, got a consolation with Sabitzer there. Tactic wise again, I'm assuming they carried on with that 4-4-2 formation. This season, though, 46 appearances again for Firmino. He was top goal scorer again. Origi is a bit just behind him. Most assists was Lallana, and the best average rating was Jairo Riedewald. Didn't play too many games, but Sacco probably the most consistent performer with that sort of good average rating. Julian Draxler didn't play much this season, just the 14 games. Was he injured, or did he just not have the best of seasons? He had a hip injury towards the end of the season. No, that was last year actually. So no injuries at all. Which didn't really keep him out. He's got good technical stats though, and I think he'll be a big player for Liverpool as long as Robbie Fowler keeps playing him. But solid season there for Fowler. Can he build on it? Can he go for a league title, or will he just consolidate himself as a top 4 team? Get my words out today. So now at the end of the 18-19 season, it's time to see how Robbie Fowler got on this year. And he's still the manager of Liverpool. Again, stats have risen. We can notice that now due to player ability and potential both at 11. So still as manager, this time finishing in 6th place, not really what they wanted to do. Finishing in 6th, that was where they were media predicted, but missing out on European football. So we'll have to have a quick look at why that happened. Of course, they were in the Champions League, knocked out in the group stage. We'll have a look at that. Finishing the semis of the Europa League to Inter. That was won by Mönchengladbach in the end. The FA Cup, they were knocked out in the 5th round by Man City. Knocked out in the 3rd round of the EFL Cup by Barnsley. That was won by Stoke. And they were runners-up in the Community Shield, which wasn't great. But this season, again, spending 86 million, receiving 74 million pounds, and a lot of that money coming from the sale of Roberto Firmino to Real Madrid. Big money there on there. Arguably one of the best players for the last couple of years. Danny Ings left as well. They brought in Kasper Dolberg from Ajax for almost £30 million. Looked like he had a great season. Looks like an awesome player at just 21 years of age. Nabil Bedtalev from Schalke. Ener Zunal from Man City. Mariano Gonzalez. Dennis Mann and Gaston Aguiar as well. So very interesting to see that they finished off in 6th place. Schedule-wise, which we'll have a quick look at, the Premier League this season, there's so many tournaments, but obviously a lot more inconsistent this year. Great run towards the end of the season, to be fair to them. So they must have been somewhere outside of the top 6 before they went on this awesome run, beating the likes of United, getting a draw against Arsenal and City. Real consistent run, and games where, you know, on paper should be won, they did the job and got the wins there, where it was a bit tetchy beforehand. But overall, if we have a quick look here, a fairly consistent second half of the season for Liverpool, indeed. We'll move on, though, to the FA Cup as well. Their quick run there, beat Exeter and Rochdale quite comfortably, but lost out to Man City. EFL Cup as well, not the best of times for them. They lost out to Barnsley after being 1-0 up. The Champions League, they beat Benfica just about on the away goal rule in the Champions League Best Place playoff. Their group was quite difficult, to be fair. Leverkusen, Sporting and Anderlecht, but couldn't get the coming done. Only wins came coming against the Belgian side, Anderlecht, so they finished 3rd in the group. So they went on to the Europa League, where they beat Standard Liège, Krasnodar. They beat Arsenal as well, but lost out to Inter just about as well. 4 goals to 2 on aggregate after a loss against them at the Anfield, which wasn't great at all. Community Shield, also they lost out 1-0 to Spurs. So I'm not too sure why they've missed out, or why there's only 5 teams now getting European football, unless one of their sides. I'm not sure. That's crazy, to be honest. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a quick look at that overall, but not much time for me to have a quick look at that. So I'll skip forward again another year. They may well still be in Europe. I don't know if one of the places, because the FA Cup still hasn't been played, one of the places may well drop to them if one of the top 4 win the FA Cup. But moving on, we'll go on to the next year and see how well they can get on. So we're now in the season 2019-2020 with Robbie Fowler in charge. He's still got the job at Liverpool, and he's got a contract extension now till 2024. His stats are increasing, still looking like he's doing the business. Content with life at a club he loves, with that one positive there. So Liverpool this season, they managed to finish in 5th place, not a top 4 finish again. We'll have a quick look at how they got on in all the other competitions, though. Media predicted 6th, and as you can see, they've done a Manchester United. They literally just stayed 5th. For the majority of probably about just over half a season, I'd imagine there. No FA Cup glory this season and no EFL Cup glory. 6th round of the FA Cup, knocked out by Bournemouth. That was won by West Ham. Knocked out by Bournemouth as well in the EFL Cup, which Spurs went on to win. Transfers this season, though, spent 35 million, not as much as he's been spending recently. Brought in 70 million. Sadio Mane left the club for 59 million. Karius also left. In his place, they brought in Matthew Ryan. They brought Christian Trejo, Medeiros from Sporting, and Serge Gnabry came in from Schalke as well. Quick look at the schedule as well before we move on to the final season of this experiment. We're going to try and do about 5 seasons for any others of these. By the way, if you do want another one, do let me know for another manager. This season was a lot more inconsistent, if I'm honest. There was this little patch here where it was some tough teams involved. Narrow 3-2 losses against City and United, both away from home, though, especially as United were down to 10 men for the majority of the second half. They still got the job done. Lost out to rivals Everton. Not a good spell there for Robbie Fowler. Towards the end of the season, again, they're just dropping a couple of points, and that really cost them Champions League football this season. Still playing with that 4-4-2. Last game of the season, he actually played Gnabry left wing as well. Having a quick look at the players, though, this season. The most appearances were for Draxler this season. Morale very poor, though. Does he want to leave the club, maybe? Considering his options, one short-term plan. Thinks Jordan Henderson, he wants to leave. He wants to play in the Champions League there, Julian Draxler. Most goals was Origi. Dolberg just behind him this season. Most assists was Lallana, still doing his thing. Best average rating was Nathaniel Klein as well. So Robbie Fowler overall doing an okay job. We're going to have him for one more year. I'm surprised he's lasted this long, to be honest, especially with the stats he's got. But as a club icon, he's still doing the business. Hasn't gone up just yet. He's still listed as an icon. But we'll move forward to one more year. Let's see if he can do anything in Europe. They're in the Europa League. They need to try and grab some silverware. So here we are for the final season of the experiment. We're going to be checking out Robbie Fowler again. He's certainly still in charge of Liverpool, still on that same contract again. Stats really well rounded. Interestingly enough, over the 5 years, his scouting knowledge has gone from, all those countries that we saw earlier to just England. Obviously, he's lost that sort of scouting knowledge of Thailand and so on. Right, Liverpool this season finished 5th again. Seems that they love that sort of position, but did they do any well? Runner-up in the EFL Cup, knocked out in the second round of the Europa League by Monaco. Third round of the FA Cup, had a tough draw against Spurs, but they'll be disappointed not to have won the EFL Cup. Missing out on the Champions League by 6 points overall, and 19 points behind the eventual league winners, Manchester City, who won it by 2 points ahead of rivals Manchester United. Looks like they got a new man scoring the goals. He looks like he's a regen. They brought him in this season. We'll have a quick look at him shortly. But spent a massive amount of money on Will Hughes. £35 million on him. Surprised he's not been purchased sooner. But Derby only had 1 year in the Premier League. And obviously Hughes did okay, to be honest. But £35.5 million. Massive amount of money. Eduardo Pacheco as well from Universidad Catalonia, I think that is. Jordi Alba came in on a free as well, played quite regularly for them. Still got those fantastic stats there for them. Carlos Antonio came in as well, but this guy, Francisco Calderon, for just 6.75 million, looks like one hell of a player. The Mexican scored 11 in 12 goals internationally, 25 goals in his debut Premier League season, 9 in 7 in the Europa League. Looks like he was an absolutely ridiculous buy there from Robbie Fowler, and I'm sure if we skip through a few more years, this guy could fire them towards a league title. Received 94 million though this season. Origi left to Real Madrid as well. Jetro Willems left the club as well. Quite a lot of money there coming back into the club. Schedule-wise this season, having a quick look again in all competitions. They did well, obviously, in the Premier League, but just doing their job. Again, I think it's just a lack of consistency. Had a really decent, consistent run, but look at this. Draw, win, draw, win, draw, win, draw towards the end of the season. Possibly cost them a couple of points here and there, albeit the draws were against some decent sides in United and Arsenal, but possibly should have got a win against West Brom and Newcastle. But other than that, did okay in the league. FA Cup wise, a 1-0 loss to Spurs in the end. EFL Cup got all the way to the final, beat Hull, West Brom, Sheffield Wednesday, beat Stoke, Watford rather, over 2 legs, not Stoke. After losing in the first leg, they came back to Vicarage Road and absolutely smashed it, but lost at Wembley. Rashford with 2 goals. Champions League, obviously they weren't in this season. Europa League, though, their group was Marseille, Spartak, Moscow and Rijeka. Got through that quite comfortably, beat Mainz 6-0 on aggregate, but lost out to Monaco by 1 goal in the end in the Europa League. Tactic wise, still going with that 4-4-2. Players this season, most appearances was for Julian Draxler, closely followed by Calderon. Most goals, 36 this season for Francisco Calderon. Kasper Dolberg coming just behind with 15. Most assists was 7 for Calderon as well, and no doubt he came very close to getting the best average rating, but Mamadou Sakho still at the club, just pipping him towards that. So overall, Robbie Fowler's done an okay job. I I am going to be honest. I did the experiment beforehand. I didn't quite save it correctly, but he did get sacked after 2 years. So I did the experiment again, and he's kept his job quite comfortably and done a fairly decent job as manager. If you go on his overview, he's got a 54% win percentage in 257 games overall for the club. Not doing too bad at all. Highest fee spent 46.5 million on Draxler. Probably hasn't lit up the scene as much as I would have expected him to. Highest fee received was for Firmino as well. So overall, he's done okay. As a manager, you know, he's got from about here a decent amount of Manager of the Month awards as well over the time. But only the FA Cup win in this time for Robbie Fowler as boss. So interested to see how he would get on, especially with that new striker involved, if he would push for a league title. But if you guys enjoyed this, make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. As always, if you have any other legends that you'd love to see back at an old club, let me know. Any league, any manager. There are a couple. I really wanted to do Shearer at Newcastle, but for some reason the database is a little bit funny with Alan Shearer. As in he's kind of on the database, but not as a legend. His name's just there, so it won't really let me use his proper stats, and I'd hate to make some up. So unfortunately I can't do that one, but do let me know in the comment section down below. Subscribe to the channel as always. But until next time, guys, enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm sure I'll catch you all very soon.